Heading into the penultimate round of the FIA Motocross World Championship, round 19 here, the Oriental Beauty Valley MXGP of China. Romain Febvre held a 26-point advantage over Lucas Coenen, but after the qualifying race on Saturday, that gap now going out to 30 points. Can Coenen respond and grab vital points back in that championship chase, or is it going to be Romain Febvre singing his way with a round to go to a potential second world title in his first in 10 years? Who knows? All the action coming up live in a few moments' time. This is round 19 of the FIA Motocross World Championship. As we said, the MXGP of China, the Oriental Beauty Valley MXGP of China here in Shanghai at the Shanghai International Off-Road Circuit. Beautiful city, about an hour from here, maybe less. And we've got beautiful blue skies, which means it's piercing heat shining down on the riders. It's absolutely humid as out there on track as well. We had a deluge of rain overnight that left the track very wet, very sticky, but as you can see, it's drying out perfectly. Turn 2, so where the New Holland tractor is there, down the start straight through the left, that's the first turn, over the Vauxhall shot line, turn 2, just before the Liquid Molly double. They've just been down there scooping a load of mud out of that inside just to open it up at the start of this MXGP race. But when it's dry, the circuit is in good nick, but there are a lot of ruts in places. So these guys are really going to have to figure things out. From the finish line at the top of the screen, turning left in an anti-clockwise direction, then we go a few corners into the racetrack, into turn 4, the left-hander. That's the end of sector 1. Coming out of turn 8 is the end of sector 2. And then going into turn 13, which is the arrows on pit lane, that's the end of sector 3. Then back to the finish is sector 4. Lucas Coenen was your MX2 winner here last year. He'll be hoping for that kind of performance here this weekend to try and turn things around and put Romain Febvre under pressure at the top of the championship leaderboard. And likewise, Romain Febvre will be looking to continue what he's been doing so far this weekend, where he was impressive in the qualifying race yesterday to finish 3rd to Lucas Coenen's 7th. We'll see the qualifying highlights shortly, of course. But before we go anywhere, let's take a look behind the scenes here. Alpine Stars, the Tech Air MX, that body armour, the inflatable body armour. Enjoy this piece.
Tech Air MX is the latest Alpine Stars airbag as part of our Tech Air family of products. Following on from our first off-road specific airbag, the Tech Air Off-Road, that's used by Dakar rally racers, the Tech Air MX is a motocross specific airbag.
First time I heard something about airbag in motocross, I was surprised because I really believe it's a difficult work to do. We don't ride always the same, the tracks are different, we jump, we crash a lot, so I really believe it's something super important for us, so I was really happy about that.
We started data logging in MXGP and also in motocross and supercross in the US in 2016. And then from there, we've been developing the algorithm, the electronics, and then also the hardware, to the point where now we're ready to hit the market in mid-October with the finalized system.
Looking at it from the point of view as a team manager, of course, you don't want your riders to get hurt, so maximum protection is where you're looking for.
At first, we asked the rider to start using it, and the most important was to bring feedback to Alpine Stars. The product was already very, very developed when we got it, so it was very little comment. They were fitting right away quite good with it.
It just felt like a normal chest protector, so I guess there's no reason to not use it.
It's designed in such a way that you are going to need to get back on the bike quick. You want to get back on the bike quick, so it's not going to hinder your progress on that too much. So the electronics can actually detect a crash in about 40 milliseconds. And then once it's decided you're going to crash, it takes less than 25 milliseconds for the airbag to go off and inflate the full bag.
Especially after what happened in Lugo, I'm even more impressed about the airbag technology, because I had one small crash. 3 corners after, I had a big one, and there is where I needed that it deployed when I turned upside down with the head on the ground side and before touching the ground.
Now I'm really happy with the airbag, with the evolution of the airbag, because my son will be, even if it's only racing on national amateur level, he will be the first one to be using the airbag, that's for sure.
The key thing is that it should be a piece of your kit that's just easy to operate and easy to ride with minimum disruption to what you would normally do.
Yeah, great piece of equipment there from Alpine Stars, the Tech Air MX. And obviously riders already using that at factory level, and that will be coming to your stores, as Chris Hill had said there, in October. Hot sunny day here in Shanghai as we prepare for MXGP Race 1. You can hear the riders out on their sighting lap ahead of that first race. Lisa Leyland was down on the grid a few moments ago, though, and she caught up with a rider from Australia, a wild card, Levi Rogers. But before that, number 96, Lucas Coenen. See what happened to him yesterday.
Okay, so we're almost ready for the first MXGP race of the day. Let's grab a few words with Red Bull KTM Factory MXGP rider Lucas Coenen. Lucas, let's quickly chat about yesterday's qualifying race. I guess not the result you would have hoped for. Can you turn that around today?
Of course I can, but just was yesterday didn't feel so good. With the weather, I felt a bit bad. I don't know why. Normally I'm good in these conditions, but also track was really wet, so I was a bit too much keeping, let's say. So got then arm pump and a bit tired, but we made some changes, and I think now it's gonna get better, and also my riding will be better. So now it's a long motor. You need to be smart, and that's what we're gonna be.
Definitely, it's a totally different ball game today. We had quite a lot of overnight rain. How's the track shaped up?
This morning was quite sticky, more lines, but quite slippery. But I mean, now I think we'll be better looking to the MX2 race. So, I mean, I'm gonna check some lines and try to find the good flow and then enjoy.
Okay, best of luck. Thank you, Lucas. Okay, next rider I'd like to touch base with is an Australian rider that we haven't seen before. It's Levi Rogers. Levi, you're wildcarding this weekend here. I guess you're racing a national championship, or you finished that. How's everything going?
Yeah, it was really good. I was able to finish 7th in our series. It was sort of an up and down year, but I was able to finish up on the podium and get selected to wildcard for China and Australia, and it's an awesome event. First time travelling overseas, getting to do the GPs, and you know, without people supporting me, this wouldn't be possible, so it's really cool.
And obviously it's your first time against the MXGP boys. In terms of the level, I know you had the qualifying race yesterday. Is it what you expected?
Yeah, exactly. These guys are fast and they're really fit. You know, I was very nervous yesterday. First time I've ever seen these guys ride. But, you know, I think today will be a lot better.
Okay, best of luck, and it's great to have you here. Thank you, Levi Rogers there. Okay, good luck to the guys here. It's time for the MXGP Race 1.
Jeffrey Herlings led the riders away then for their sighting lap. Remember, it's their last opportunity to go see the track, and it will be different to what it was yesterday as well for the qualifying race. Yesterday, as we'll see from the qualifying highlight, a little bit drier, but we had a good 2 hours or so of rain, heavy rain last night as we left the circuit from 6 till 8 o'clock. And yeah, it was absolutely monsoon-like. So when we arrived here this morning and saw that the track was actually in okay condition, yeah, some soft patches here and there, light there in turn 2, then obviously then that was going to be the, you know, that was the main talking point. But so far, everything looking good. After the qualifying race then, here's how things look. Romain Febvre was 26 clear. He's now 30 clear of Lucas Coenen. Koldenov is holding on to that third place in the championship. At the moment, he's 76 clear of Ruben Fernandez. Remember, after this weekend, if that's more than 60 points, then, of course, Glenn Koldenov will be confirmed as third place in the championship title chase as well for the second time in his career. 30 points behind Ruben Fernandez. We have Calvin Villander in 5th, but he's only a point clear of Jeffrey Herlings, who sits on 5.32 to Villander's 5.33. Renaux is next in 7th, 42 behind Herlings. Monacorsi 8 behind the Frenchman. Then we've got Gajser and Siwa. Let's take a look at the highlights then. See the dark clouds were looming in, you see the spots of rain, and this was the big talking point. Herlings, literally just before the 15-second board went up, he went to put his goggles on, and they appeared to fog up. He was using a double lens, but until he got moving, any moisture that was in there and any fogging didn't disperse until he got moving. That was from Goggle Bob, Goggle Tech. last night. So once he did get to the front and get clear, that air just started to circulate through the lens and it did sort itself out. But nervous moments for him right at the start of the race. Jeffrey Herlings, after setting the fastest time for the 4th time in a row, 7th time this season in time practice. But the rains did start to come down, but not too heavily at this point. Second position was Maxime Renaux. Gajser was in 3rd. Jago Geerts was in 4th initially. But then as the race went on, this is towards the end of the opening lap, track was just starting to get a bit greasy. Maxime Renaux didn't get the drive that he wanted coming out of the final turn. Gajser moved into 2nd. Then Renaux was into 3rd. Romain Febvre was in 4th. Remember, he coming out of turn 2, he got a little bit of knack-knack action going on, lost a couple of positions, and then kind of adjusted, went back after Renaux, and then he moved into 3rd, which is where he would stay for the rest of the race. Herlings and Gajser, though, not really more than a second and a half, 2 seconds apart. Febvre's charge never really materialised. In the end, he did settle for that 3rd place. Likewise for Maxime Renaux. Fernandez was in 5th, Vallanderen in 6th. Coenen started 8th and only finished in 7th position. We heard from him a moment ago in the pre-grid interview. He said he didn't feel good yesterday, just on the track and with the weather, and normally he's good in those kind of hot conditions, but this wasn't the hottest point of the day yesterday. As you saw the clouds starting to thicken and the air closing in. Very, very dark. That was the end of the race. Herlings 4 times now on pole position. Gajser was 2nd, Febvre, Renaux and Fernandez were your top 5. So here we are then, the Oriental Beauty Valley MXGP of China, Shanghai, the Shanghai International Off-Road Circuit. Track has been prepped. Herlings will go to the line on pole for the 4th time this year. Edging out Tim Gajser, Romain Febvre, Maxime Renaux, Ruben Fernandez, Calvin Vallanderen. Lucas Coenen will be hoping for better today because he's 30 points clear. Lucas Coenen will be hoping for better today because 30 points down on Romain Febvre heading into the first of 2 races here in Shanghai. Can't afford that gap to get too much bigger heading into the final round. A week from now in Australia, remember, in Darwin. Jonas will go to the line in 8th place. And Andrea Bonacorsi and Glenn Colden, the 2 Fantic factory machines, 9th and 10th. Isaac Gifting, JK Yamaha, Jago Geerts, Jan Panzer, Kevin Bruman, Mattia Guadagnini, Ben Watson. And behind them, Quentin Prunier, Brian Bogers, Jeremy Seawer, Tom Cox, Zach Watson of Australia, one of 2 Aussies in the race. Li Yu Zhang, Wu Riga and Levi Rogers had a fall or had an issue and was forced to retire from the race around about sort of the halfway point when he was in 22nd place. Jeffrey Herlings impressive so far this weekend, fastest in the time practice. The qualifying race winner goes to the line on pole for the first race here in China. He's just 1 point behind Calvin Vallanderen in their battle in the championship for 5th position. Romain Febvre knows that he's in a good position here. Started the weekend 26 clear of Lucas Coenen, but after that qualifying race where Febvre finished 3rd, Lucas Coenen finished 7th, the gap between the top 2 in the championship now 30 points as we head into this first race. Tim Gajser was looking good, looking confident in the first race of the weekend, which was that qualifying race to come home in 2nd. How big a race is this for Lucas Coenen, though, knowing that he's got to go after Romain Febvre? He seemed confident, he sounded confident in the pre-grid interview a moment ago. Let's hope for his and KTM's sake that he can turn things around and just claw back some points. Maxime Renaux, 4th in the qualifying race. Similar performances today in race 1 and race 2 could see him potentially on the podium by the time the weekend is done. He's only had one of those so far this year. That was Argentina round 1, where he stood on the top step. Saw Ruben Fernandez there a moment ago, 5th in the quali race ahead of Calvin Vallanderen here, who goes to the line in 6th. 259, Glenn Colden almost one hand on that 3rd overall in the championship chase at the minute. But if he stays more than 60 points clear of Ruben Fernandez, by the time we leave China, he will be 3rd for the 2nd time in his career. At the moment, Colden 76th ahead of Fernandez. The fly race in 15-second board up then for the first time today. MXGP race 1, 30 minutes plus 2 laps. Who's it going to be that grabs that all-important Foxhole shot? At the moment, Lucas Coenen has 12. 5-second board has turned. We're getting ready to drop the gates here. Gates drop now. Herlings and Gajser up the inside, but it's going to be Renaux. Renaux over the Foxhole shot line. Holds the inside line in turn 2. And for Maxime Renaux, that's his first black plate of the season. Herlings already looking to find his way by, though, on the sticky part of the racetrack, going through turn 3, down towards turn 4. Herlings in second. Jonas in third, Gajser in fourth, but it's Renaux who leads on that Monster Energy Yamaha. Great start for the Frenchman. Jonas looking interested here. Where are our main rivals? Well, there's your answer. There's the first one, number 3, Romain Febvre. Herlings just takes a look over his shoulder, wants to know exactly what's going on behind him. Third, fourth and fifth just here. 6th for Koldenoff. 7th for Fernandez. Looks like he's found his way past Siwa. Where is Lucas Coenen? Coenen around 10th position. Oh. But Renaux it is, who has clear track ahead of him at the moment. Herlings there in second. Third, Gajser. Fourth, coming into land. Here's Paul's Jonas. Gajser up into that third place now. These two still going at it. There's that untidy there coming out of pit lane, and Fernandez goes past Febvre into 5th position. Bottom of the screen a moment ago. Febvre looking to go back up the inside in the next turn. Looks like he's found his way by. Coming out of this turn, well, there'll be bar to bar. Fernandez hanging on to that 5th at the moment. And Coenen only a couple positions behind the Frenchman as they round out this opening lap here in China. So Renaux, Herlings, Gajser, your top 3. Dropping into the second corner now, in the middle of your screen on that green Kawasaki is Jonas in 4th. Then you got Fernandez on the 17th, then Febvre there on the number 3. He is in 6th, Koldenoff 7, Coenen in 8, Bonacorsi 9, Siwa 10. Every race we get. Oh, and another mistake there from Febvre. Koldenoff goes by. Is it Febvre that's just starting to have a bit of a wobble on here with 2 rounds to go, knowing the importance of these races? Every race we get closer to the end of the championship, the nerves, the tension, the intensity builds up for those that are fighting for those championship places between Febvre and Coenen. And Coenen around the outside of Febvre here. Oh, I never saw this happening a lap ago. So Koldenoff in 6th, Febvre in 7th, Coenen in 8th. And Coenen, just off the back of that shot, going around the outside of the Kawasaki rider. Top 2 in the championship. Coenen tries to go down the inside. Febvre closes down the door. I'm just looking at the top of the screen here as they come back towards the triple. Febvre knows he needs to wake up here. Normally a lot more busy and sort of up for it at the start of the race, but he goes tight and defensive. That's where Fernandez passed him a lap ago. In fact, that's Jonas and Fernandez, isn't it? Oh, Fernandez, a little bit out of sorts. There's Koldenoff. Here's Febvre coming towards us now on the number 3. Championship leader and his main rival right behind him on the number 96 machine. Coenen said he normally relishes in these conditions. Well, he's definitely looking more up for the fight today than he was yesterday, where he started 8th and finished 7th in the qualifying race. Looks like Febvre kind of joined the race here. Now he's getting his head down, starting to close back in on Koldenoff. Koldenoff in 6th place ahead of him. Fantic Factory Racing. Coenen looking for an inside line through turn 3. On the back wheel down towards turn 4. We're going to go around the outside of the Frenchman, Febvre. Can't quite get over cleanly that tabletop into turn 5. Doesn't want to follow him through there either, Coenen. But he'll go down the inside here. As long as he can show a wheel here or there, Febvre knows he's got a race on. Closing in on Koldenoff. Febvre down the inside of the Dutchman. He goes up the inside. Coenen around the outside. These two now up into 6th and 7th. Koldenoff was absolutely ambushed there, wasn't he? In that 6th position. Febvre knew he couldn't hang around. Coenen has had that feeling all weekend, can't hang around. Did that yesterday, dawdled and didn't pay dividends. Lost ground in the championship, is losing further ground here as it stands right now. Another point between him and Febvre. He's definitely going to have to go for broke in this race. Find his way past Febvre, get onto the rear wheel of Fernandez, go after Jonas and Gajser, and hope that Febvre doesn't go with him. But Febvre looking good at the moment. This Grand Prix here, of course, Febvre are just one athlete. Massive weekend for them. Their base is over here. They pretty much have a massive input in this Grand Prix this weekend. He's already been busy with a lot of media and a lot of sponsor duties this weekend. Almost like a home Grand Prix away from home for the Frenchman. But he's not let it detract from the job at hand, which is try and go out and increase that championship lead over Lucas Coenen. Herlings here, 3 seconds down on Maxime Renaux, who just sets the fastest lap of the race a moment ago. On lap 2, Gajser closing in on Herlings. Of course, these two yesterday were never more than about a second apart, maybe 2 maximum at some point, but keeping each other honest in what was a bit of a slow-burning qualifying race, just because the track was gradually getting greasy. It started off like this in the time practice session, but then as the race went on and the rain started to fall, it got greasy, unpredictable. At least it's a little bit more consistent for the riders now, so they know they can commit, where yesterday in the qualifying race, maybe they couldn't do that, perhaps. Febvre still in 6th place, about a second and a half clear of Lucas Coenen at the moment. That's the gap between first and second. Maxime Renaux and Jeffrey Herlings. Renaux hasn't won a race since race 2, the opening round in Argentina, where he took the overall Grand Prix victory. In and out of the final turn. Gap around about 3 seconds at the last sector a moment ago, but as we hit the line now, it's down to 2.7, so Herlings getting a bit of a move on. So too Tim Gajser though. All 3 riders, 154.2, but we're down to hundreds and thousands of seconds. But it's Gajser who has the fastest lap of the race so far. Jonas, 3.5 seconds further back. Then Fernandez, Febvre, putting some distance between himself and Lucas Coenen. So the Frenchman making the Belgian work very hard for any kind of points so far this weekend. Herlings with his 111th Grand Prix victory 1 week ago, round 18 in Turkey. Looking for a similar result here this weekend. Gajser would also love to get back on the win sheet. 3 rounds, 1 for him from the first 5 Grand Prix this year, before he went AWOL. Then the last 3 rounds of his comeback, a couple of 4ths overall, the last 2 rounds, Tim Gajser. So he would love to be on the podium at the very least. If he can come away from China with a Grand Prix win here this weekend, that'll lay some of the demons to rest. Remember last year, he fell going into turn 2 at the start of the race, had that damaged foot peg. Did that cost him the championship in the end? We will never know, but it certainly didn't help the cause. It's good from Maxime Renaux. Looking fiery in that Alpine Star kit. And on fire at the moment as well, the 959. 3.5 seconds clear. Meanwhile, Febvre still with Lucas Coenen right in his real tracks, going after Ruben Fernandez. This will be for 5th position. Fernandez, of course, chasing Koldenhoff in the championship for 3rd, so every point is crucial for him. So don't expect him to roll over and let Febvre by lightly if the Frenchman gets onto the rear wheel of the Spaniard. Still a long way to go in this race though. Points out to 31 at the moment between 1st and 2nd in the championship. Not the way Lucas Coenen would have wanted this Grand Prix weekend to go so far, from 26 to 30 after the qualifying race, out to 31 as early as lap 5 here in MXGP Race 1. And that gap will get bigger if Febvre starts to find his way onto the rear wheel and make passes on Fernandez, and he's got his teammate ahead of him as well. Paul Jonas, don't forget. Jonas in 4th position. Renaux. Just over 2 seconds clear of Herlings at the moment. The Dutchman getting his claws in to the 959. Here's what happened at the start. Herlings to the inside, Gifting just having a moment mid-turn. Fernandez and Gajser almost coming together. Look how sticky it was through the first couple of corners there. Coenen nowhere in sight at this moment. Febvre had a good start, but then just started to lose positions early on. It's kind of steadied that ship at the moment. Got himself into 6th, crucially ahead of Lucas Coenen. Maxime Renaux just looking solid in the early stages of this first race. The rocks on that liquid moly takeoff, just as it was yesterday. Right, Fernandez, Febvre. This is 5th and 6th, top of your screen. Coenen just behind him in the background when he comes into view. It's into turn 4, this 90-degree left. Table into double. Febvre a little bit tighter through there, just trying to shave off a few more feet and inches. Anything to get closer to the number 70 Honda HRC rider ahead of him, Ruben Fernandez. Fernandez in red and white, currently circulating in 5th. Febvre here on the green Kawasaki in red and grey, in 6th position. Not perfect by any means, this for Romain Febvre. Remember, he went on a massive podium spree, didn't he? From round 3 to 16, where he didn't miss a single podium. 14 in a row from his 16 podiums. His first was at the opening round, didn't make the podium round 2 in Gajser, 5th overall. Round 17 in the Netherlands, 5th overall. Other than that, been 1st, 2nd or 3rd. Siwa, number 91, in 10th place for Aruba.IT Ducati. Febvre has found his way onto the rear wheel of Ruben Fernandez. Spaniard knows he's there, tried to go to the outside and outfox Febvre, but Febvre outfoxes Fernandez. Try and say that with a mouthful of teeth. Fernandez now down to 6th. Febvre moves by into 5th position. Herlings getting faster and faster. The only rider inside the 53 territory, 1:53.7. Still just under 3 seconds down though on Maxime Renaux, as you can see on screen. Wonder what Fernandez has up his sleeve for Romain Febvre. A little bit off skew there for the Frenchman as he came out of that turn. Right-hander, just looked like he didn't hold it tight enough and drifted a little bit more towards the middle. Front end high, but salvages the situation. We'll be out to 32 points if things stay as they are right now, between 1st and 2nd in the championship chase. Well, despite that fast lap from Jeffrey Herlings a moment ago, the gap going out to 3.5 seconds between Renaux and the Bullet. Intermediate sectors for the first two respectively, 26.4, 27.2 Renaux Herlings, 31.5, 32.2, 27.3, 27.2. So in the 3rd sector, Herlings pulls back a 10th. going in deep to turn 14. Romain Febvre knows he doesn't have to do any more than just stay ahead of the 96 Lucas Coenen on that Red Bull KTM. Remember, in his rookie season, don't call me a rookie, but what he's achieved already has been outstanding. 7 qualifying race wins. Prior to this weekend, had more laps than anybody else, almost 250 laps led through the season, 248 if you want to be precise. 13 race wins on Sunday. 5 GP victories, 13 podiums. Not bad going. But knew he had to do better yesterday, just wasn't quite feeling it. Is there still a little bit of a hangover from that? In that respect, just not feeling good with the heat, with the track. Both conditions that he would normally be okay in. Went 1-1 here, just down the road last year in MX2, remember, to win the MX2 Grand Prix. Maybe just the heat and humidity on a 450, just a different animal to a 250 machine, who knows? So many variables. Either way, wasn't feeling it yesterday. Not looking like his usual flamboyant, energetic self. Maybe there's a little bit of race management involved. Knows he can't blow himself out in the first 10 minutes as well. Not when you've got 2 long races, 35 minutes, basically, 30 minutes plus 2 laps. And he can see Febvre just there ahead of him, 2 riders ahead. But not able to advance past Fernandez at the moment. And Coenen still parked in 7th position. Maxime Renaux set the fastest lap a moment ago on lap 7. Pulls it back to a 54.7, almost the same as Herlings. That gap more than 3 seconds now between the Frenchman and the Dutchman. Gajser nearly 3 seconds behind Herlings in 3rd. Not looking to challenge at the moment either of the 2 riders ahead of him. Jonas in 4th. This is good for Jonas. On the Kawasaki Racing Team machine. Last time we saw him in 4th position was race 1 in Portugal, round 7. He's got his teammate behind him about 6 seconds further back. Febvre doesn't need a favour from Jonas at this stage of the race, as long as Coenen is behind him, and he is 2 riders further back. Lean and clean, Maxime Renaux. Perfect start. Continues to lead the way, 3.5 seconds clear. Only ever had 6 Vauxhall shots prior to this, the last coming in race 2, Frauenfeld in Switzerland last year. So just his 7th career Vauxhall shot, 1st of the season for the Yamaha rider. And we hear it so many times, don't we? All I need is a good start, and there I know I can win. I have the pace, the fitness, the this, the that. Back marker, though, falls on the Dragon's back, almost catching Renaux out. Massive moment that was for the Frenchman. Comes out of the turn, doesn't see him immediately. Oh, heart in the mouth. Got his gap out to 3.8 as well. But there's Herlings, gets it back down to 3.5. So 1:57.3, 57.9, 56.6. Oh, hello. Tim Gajser starting to wake up and join the party as well. I say that because it was Herlings' 31st birthday a couple of days ago. Herlings, of course, would love to celebrate with a Grand Prix victory, and a nice little bit of Arno Tonus in the back pocket by transfer. Bonus to me and you. I knew you'd all get it eventually. But Tim Gajser, of course, he'll have other ideas. Like, nah, you know what? I'll wish you a happy birthday, maybe on text or email, but not in the mood for parties unless it's my own. That was also a problem yesterday on the run of that, on the run to that just one jump, where it was so rutty and sticky. That overnight rain has just made that area not impassable, but you saw Jeffrey Herlings there just have to pick up the front wheel just to stop the fork bottoms and the foot pegs dragging out through there. Nice improvisation. Most riders should be doing that anyway. But very wet, very sticky, very boggy. Gap coming down, 2.9 between Renaux and Herlings at the moment. Gajser not letting the bullet off the hook. Coenen, a mistake there, and all of a sudden Coenen goes by. Coenen now down to 8. Coenen tries to respond immediately. But the Hoff holds firm in that 7th position. Are we now starting to see the championship change shape in 2025 in favour of Romain Febvre, because Lucas Coenen now looks like his race is spent, because Bonacorsi is just there behind him in 9th position, and maybe there's a massive realisation here from Lucas Coenen that, you know what, this championship fight might be done and dusted now. Can't do anything about Febvre, and just going through the motions now, and maybe he's just had to resign himself to the fact that this championship season might not be his after all, despite his efforts. It's not over until it's over, of course, but not looking good for Coenen at the moment. And Bonacorsi goes around the outside, takes another position and a championship point away from the Belgian. Is he just not breathing? Is the heat just getting to him? Maybe he just lost his rhythm and just struggling to find it back. But Lucas Coenen now just in cruise mode. Look at this here, you just almost see trying to take a deep breath here and just like, whoa, that was going into turn 1 a moment ago. Bonacorsi then, just a couple of corners later, found his way past. And Lucas Coenen losing 2 positions in the space of a few corners to both the Fantic riders. That gap going out to 33 points now as it stands right now. Wonder how much pressure he's put himself under. Just ahead of him though, the 2 Fantics are going for it. Coenen and Bonacorsi, they're locked together in 7th place over the Dragon's Back. Coenen there on the 259, Bonacorsi on the 132. Getting ready to hit the line at the end of lap 11, these two. They now jump into lap 12. Coenen sitting there in that 12th place. His championship situation with Ruben Fernandez sees him 75 points clear. Looking good for that 3rd at the moment in the title chase, even with a round to go. How many nerves is Coenen riding with this weekend? Knowing that a bronze medal, a 2nd bronze medal in his career, may be at stake. Gap between Renaux and Herlings now 1.7 seconds, so there has been a response from the number 84 on the Red Bull KTM. Gained 0.4 in sector 1, it was about the same in sector 2. Gained about another half a second in sector... Sorry, it was the same in sector 1, gained about half a second in sector 2. He's gaining ground again in sector 3. That gap coming down to 1.3 between Renaux and Herlings. Here's Bonacorsi. Here are your lead duo, Renaux and Herlings, with just over 5 minutes plus 2 to go. Is there going to be a response if needed from Renaux? Maxime Renaux, of course, junior 125 world champion back in 2015. Before going on to win the MX2 World Championship a couple of years ago. See how sticky it is through there, turn 3. And grabby down there into turn 4. Riders know they've got a technical racetrack that they're having to figure out at the moment. Still doing a good job keeping him back there, though, is the race leader. It's about 2 seconds, a moment to go at the last split. We'll get another update in a moment. Halfway down this straight between the two jumps. 32.7, 32.3, so there will be some ground pulled back. 1.6 now, the gap between them. Not been an easy season for Maxime Renaux. He was on our studio show yesterday, on Saturday here. Had a good prep, good winter, felt good. Obviously the first nail in the coffin was that broken hand a couple of days before his home Grand Prix, the MXGP of Europe round 3, or round 2 actually, in Gajser, wasn't it? And then he went and rode his home Grand Prix, battled through the pain barrier, refused to take no for an answer. No, I'm still in this championship chase, try and get as many points as possible. Then he had that big crash in Switzerland, where he then had some hip issues, and then he was forced to kind of exit the championship and miss Great Britain and Finland. But around that time we had a lot of breaks in the season as well, so around about 4 or 5 weeks he was able to sort of get himself back into sort of shape. Just trying to ride himself back into some kind of Motocross of Nations form as well, but Jeffrey Herlings making it very difficult for him. A dab of the leg as he goes through that difficult turn 3. Herlings already over the back of him. Febvre, Fernandez have both found their way past Jonas, so Jonas has made a mistake, dropping from 4th position. First 3 coming towards us now. Only 4 seconds between Renaux, Herlings and Gajser. Still got just over 2 minutes to go. Plus 2 laps, of course. Lap times around 1:53-ish. Circuit rutted and rugged after that 2 hours of heavy torrential rain last night as we left the circuit. Dry in some places, sticky in others. Technical and challenging. Panic rev there for Herlings as he came into land. He's got Renaux in his line of sight. Just starting to pull clear of Tim Gajser, who's not been able to up his pace to match that of Herlings, who goes for the jugular, tries to carve a new line down the inside of that Yamaha, and again here, knows he's got to be ruthless. Certainly making Renaux think outside of the box. Nothing there as they hit the line, and Herlings, bulldog spirit, the bullet charging down the inside from out of nowhere, takes over the lead here on lap 15. Will there be a response? Can there be a response? Or is that just Herlings biding his time, saying, you know what, I'm done sitting here. Race win 2:12 is just around the corner. And with Lucas Coenen down there in 9, in terms of the championship, and Romain Febvre pulling himself up into 4th place. That gap now between 1st and 2nd is out to 36 points. Not over yet, but slipping away from Lucas Coenen here in China. Watch this here. Got in and out of there early, thought, you know what, let's just run him up, rub him up the wrong way. Renaux held firm, not once, not twice, because there was another lunge here. But 3rd time, not so lucky. This was down at the end of the finish line jump into turn 1, just back onto the start straight. Renaux thought he could try and cut back to the inside here though and give him a taste of his own medicine, but Herlings was a couple of bike lengths further up the track, not able to do that in the end, not able to make his own pass back stick. And Renaux just 1.5 seconds clear of Gajser now, so Gajser looking interested in challenging. Remember, if you want to win the overall here, those top 2 positions, they're the key moments. Not to say you can't win with a third from your first race and a win in race 2. Just depends then what happens around you. But a 1-2, 2-1 scenario. Maybe that's what Gajser is thinking now. Thinking about that second race. Try and find his way past Maxime Renaux. Renaux also knows he's got a good opportunity at a podium here, the second of his season. He rode good in the qualifying race as well, to 4th, but there's the gaps going out between Herlings and Renaux, closing up between the Frenchman and the Slovenian. Just a little bit off balance there, and then came up short, did Renaux. Gajser closing in on him. Is this just a matter of time? We are into the final 2 laps. Gajser goes inside. Renaux railing the outside. Pretty much even Steven as they get out of that turn. Maybe even Gajser gained a bike length or 2. Chasing the dirt around the outside there as the Frenchman goes defensive. This is down the back straight. Gajser up the inside. This is where Febvre passed Renaux yesterday in the qualifying race. Gajser does the same. Gajser moves into 2nd position. Bit of hang time there for Renaux as well as he hit that takeoff. Gajser back in just a little higher than he wanted to be. Now Gajser, with just over a lap to go, is he going to leave this charge too late? It's 2.2 seconds behind Herlings at the moment. This was where he was off balance and then just came up short. And then this was the pass. Moment to go. Down the inside. Around the outside. Easy as that in the end for Gajser. Right, into the final lap. Gap between Herlings and Gajser, 2.1 seconds. Gajser was quickest though over the lap. 156.3 for Herlings, 155.1. Tim Gajser, Renaux, 158.2. But he's already got like 27 seconds over Romain Febvre. Febvre knows that any points gained over Lucas Coenen is going to help his cause for a potential 2nd world title. Quentin Prunier in 19th place, getting lapped there. Jeffrey Herlings getting closer to his 212th race win in his career. So Jeffrey Herlings biding his time, got a good start. Wasn't quite the foxhole shot, that went to Maxime Renaux. But just a handful of corners away from taking the race win here in race 1. Jeffrey Herlings, it'll be his 7th race win of the season. Putting in that blistering charge a couple of laps ago just to put Maxime Renaux under pressure from out of nowhere. Out of the final turn, Jeffrey Herlings wins race 1, takes his 7th race win of the season. Race win number 212 for the Bullet. Wins by 2.5 seconds over Tim Gajser. Renaux will cross the line 3rd and does so. But Romain Febvre taking a giant step towards that 2nd world title. He will cross the line in 4th. Lucas Coenen looks like he'll be 9th. And that gap this weekend after race 1 goes from 26 to 36 points. Advantage very much Romain Febvre. So Romain Febvre doing what he had to do. Didn't have to win the race, just had to finish ahead of Lucas Coenen. Coenen about to cross the line now, 4 seconds clear of Calvin Vallanderen. Yes, we've still got plenty of time to go in this championship chase. Race 2 to come up, and a couple of races and a quali race next week in Australia. But Coenen and Vallanderen ran out your top 10. Herlings just getting a bit of a cooling down just before he goes to the winner's enclosure. It's pretty hot out there, maybe even the hottest these guys have experienced. I know Ben Watson on our studio show on Saturday said he probably hasn't experienced any kind of heat and humidity like this, so maybe these conditions replicating what we had around that time of day, around midday yesterday. But yeah, just chuck some more water anywhere, all over me. See the toll this has taken, even on the bullet. Wow. Never ceases to impress though, does he? 31 years old. Plenty of miles in the tank just yet. Right, normally we'll be going down to the winner's enclosure to go talk to Jeffrey Herlings, but we might just have a switch around. We might show the highlights first. Right, let's go to the highlights of that first race. Here's what happened, MXGP Race 1, and it was an absolute barnstormer of a start for Maxime Renaux. His first foxhole shot since last year, his first of the season. Jeffrey Herlings crossed the line in second. Febvre emerged in fourth behind his teammate. Coenen was a few positions further back. Remember, they were 30 points apart going into this first race. But it was Febvre who just started to lose ground with the riders ahead of him and fell into the clutches of Lucas Coenen. A mistake there didn't help his cause as Koldenoff went by. Coenen was around the outside. And you think if Coenen would have found his way past Febvre here, he may have changed things around, turned things around a little bit, but Febvre was just too good in the end. Eventually found his way onto the rear wheel of Ruben Fernandez. That was for fifth on lap 7. But 2 laps to go. Herlings all up the inside of Maxime Renaux, hustled and ruffled the feathers of the Frenchman. Couldn't do it there, but a couple of corners later, dropping into turn 1 is where we saw the pass for the lead. That was on lap 15 of 17. Herlings fancied his chances of a race win. Lucas Coenen, meanwhile, he was languishing in 9th position. Looked almost resigned to the fact that second in the championship chase is as good as it's going to get, maybe. Gajser got into second with that move on the Frenchman, Renaux, but it was Herlings, Gajser, Renaux, Febvre and Fernandez in race 1. Let's go down to Lisa with Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Herlings, congratulations. That was a perfectly timed move on Renaux there for the race win, but just tell us, how much did that actually take out of you?
A lot. You know, the temperatures are so high, like 33, 34, and then like such a high humidity, so I was coming from Europe, it's really, really demanding, but I did my best, managed to win. Second one is going to be really tough, but also second one I'm going to do my best.
Thank you.
Not an easy race, not easy conditions, but Jeffrey Herlings making the best of the situation. Same for everybody, same conditions, same track, same boat. Different mentality perhaps, who knows. But the bullet races to his 7th win of the season. It's been pretty perfect for him so far this weekend. Only Romain Febvre was fastest in pre-practice, but Herlings quickest in time practice, came away with a quali win and race 1 victory. Can he do it again in race 2? It's going to be a tough one, that's for sure. So the fans enjoyed that one. Let's take a look at the results then. Jeffrey Herlings picking up his 7th race win of the season for Red Bull KTM. Honda HRC's Tim Gajser impressive in 2nd. Maxime Renaux also in 3rd for Monster Energy Yamaha. Romain Febvre 4th for Kawasaki Racing Team. Good job, well done for the championship leader. Fernandez, Jonas, Koldenoff and Bonacorsi, the 2 Fantic Factory MXGP riders, 7th and 8th. Ninth place for Lucas Coenen on the Red Bull KTM, edging out Calvin Verlanderen. But that means now Coenen drops 36 points behind Romain Febvre in the 2025 championship chase. Brumman, Koch, Prunier, Watson running out the points. Take a look at the foxhole shot then, shall we? Maxime Renaux held a nice tight line to the inside, and it was Renaux who emerged ahead of everybody else. His first black plate, his first foxhole shot of the season, and the 9.5 now with just 7 in his career. The last coming in Braunfeld, race 2, 2024. That'll give him some confidence heading into race 2. Coenen on 12, Coenen off 7. Lucas Coenen confirmed now as the foxhole shot winner. No best moments. We'll take a break. We'll see you at an hour for MX2 Race 2 here at the Oriental Beauty Valley MXGP of China. We'll see you then. Bye for now.